Hey everyone, just wanted to give a quick update. I don't usually do doing day trades or daily or intraday trading videos, but I'm heading out in a little bit. I wanted to just give a recap on what I think the market's doing and some of the positions I have open. So let's take a look at the SPY, which mirrors the S&P. With that big drop on Tuesday, came all the way down to 380. Made a nice recovery up to the point of control on the 30-minute time frame. Ultimately broke through it, then failed, came all the way back down yesterday, had a big sell-off, came down and kind of retested the area we were, or found support back on Tuesday. Ultimately sold off into the day and touched almost the lows of the Tuesday low. This morning we woke up, we had a nice little pop, hit the 21 15-minute time or exponential moving average, failed, came back down, actually broke the lows from the past few days, and it thought it would actually sell off and come down a little further here. However, it looks like we found support down at this level, 378, and then kind of making a recovery now. So if you could follow along, the 21 EMA is kind of acting as resistance now. It's kind of tested a couple times. At first it was the 80 EMA, it actually eventually broke through the 80 EMA, and then now hitting the 21 and getting stopped out. So stalled out. So we're looking, if we could bust through this level and hold above the 21 15-minute time frame, maybe we get a run into the end of the day. Similar to when stocks gap up, they always revert to the mean, which is daily 21. I kind of use that analogy on daily time frames too. But if we have a big dip, the first level of resistance is going to be the 80 EMA. The second level is going to be 21. Once we break the 21, I get a little more bullish, and maybe we can run back up a little higher. Like in this case, for instance, we dropped down the 8 EMA. You can see it followed it all the way down. It broke a little bit here, but ultimately failed against the 21. And then we came down, retested a 21, failed. Then the 8 EMA became resistance. Once we break that 8 EMA, we got to test this 21. If we could break the 21, we could move higher. In this particular case right now, if we break that 21 and break this morning's high, so the high of 385, we'll say, if we could break 385, we may get some shorts to cover and rally back up to this point of control, 390. So we'll see what happens here, but overall, the market, it's selling off, but we have buyers coming in down to 380 level. We'll see on the monthly or daily. Still holding this 50-day. Every time we find support, that's a pretty nice long wick. A lot of nice long wick here. So hopefully, we can consolidate in this range before the next leg. If we break this 50 and close below it, then that's when I think we could see a more drastic pull back to the 100 EMA or even lower. You can see back here, once we broke the 50 and closed below it, we pulled back to the 100-day EMA. That's where the support was. So using that as a reference, if we break this 50, that's my next target level if we break it and close below the 50. Otherwise, if we could hold this level and chop around here and get some bullish momentum into next week, we'll see if we can make another run towards that 400. And when we get to that level, that's when I will probably put on some hedges or some shorts at all-time highs there. Looking at some indicators over here at tick today. Started off the day, strong, had some positive. All day the below. The momentum was kind of a bit bearish. We started popping above 0. Got some stronger ticks throughout. Later in the day, right now it's -2, 3. So right now it's at close to 0. Anything over like 600 or 700 plus or minus is pretty significant. We had some 1,000-day negative ticks, so that's when you see these big drops. This morning, this big drop down here to 378 came when we had this big sell-off over here. So, recovered. So we want to see ticks positive. That kind of gives us the positive momentum. We got the VIX. The VIX pulling back a little bit today, which is nice. So it's kind of inverse with the market. So when the VIX goes up, market tends to come down. This particular case, the VIX Hit some highs today on the 15-minute, and then failed and came back down. That's why you kind of see the reversion of the S&P. In any case, the VIX, we're at some higher levels. You can see it kind of spikes a little bit and then it kind of resets itself. So we're hoping, this resistance right here will push it back down. It's overextended over the 80 EMA, so hopefully maybe it could come down a little bit before, either it goes up or pulls back to normal levels. So keep an eye on that going forward. Just a quick update on Marvel today. So they found a resistance against the 50-day 15. So dipped, actually broke above it just recently. It's looking like, we got kind of a pre-squeeze here. We got some positive momentum. Maybe we get a run to the end of the day and retest. Let's see if we could break 49 might be L50. I'm not sure if we'll get up there today, but we can. Not putting anything behind this market. It could really rally pretty quickly. But if we fail up here, we break this level 46.81, we'll probably see more to the downside. On the daily time frame, it's finding support at this 100 EMA, which it has before. So it had the support back here, popped, found support back here, popped. And that's what I'm looking for here. Hopefully the market holds up. We're oversold down here. We got a ready signal down here. We have earnings coming up. Maybe next week we see a pop into earnings. The candle is still yellow, so it's neutral. They haven't turned red, which is good in this market. So we'll see if we could get a reversion back to the mean. Anytime it dips below the 21, so they significantly like to see it come back to the 21, and then see where if I take my positions off or hold, depending on the overall market and some other indicators. NEO has just been a disaster lately since I got in, mainly because, well, got in here, popped, and then ultimately sold off with all EVs in the market. However, we have earnings coming up. You can see how it ran up the last earnings. Obviously, it didn't happen with overall market weakness. However, if you look on the long term, we're making higher highs, higher lows. As long as we hold this level right here, the 100 EMA, I think that's considered, low, high, higher high. Maybe we make a run to new highs coming off earnings, but it's all dependent on earnings. And if we do an extension just to see where it would go, so if we take, we'll say this swing high to this swing low over here, I'm looking at, if we break this 60 level at 72, then down to 91, but it's a long way away as we have to get through all of these EMAs now, which are going to act as resistance. You can see that the 8 has been acting as resistance on a daily. So once we break that, we have to retest the 20. Once we break above these levels again and get these stacked EMAs, similar to like back here, where you got to get them stacked all through here. They're stacked now. They're all entwined, and it's consolidating, and that's what's going to happen. But we need to find some momentum. Hopefully, earnings will give it a push up. But until we break this level, about 55, I think we chop or go lower. If we break the 45 range, we'll say, I think we're going to come down and test 34, depending on the market strength as well. So we got ticks over here actually popping up a little bit, 400, that's good. So we want to see the VIX still coming down, which is nice. NEO on the daily, similar to other charts, dip down, trying to get through his 21 EMA on the 15-minute. If we can hold that, we should see a move higher, hopefully. Next, let's take a look at BLNK. BLNK is always a tease in the morning because it always starts off strong, pops up a couple dollars and sells off. Looks to be recovering now with the whole entire market. And then, we're seeing these green 10x bars here, which show positive momentum coming in. We're getting more green volume here on the actual intraday. On the daily time frame, as with everything else, we're kind of finding support around the 100 EMA. This 36 level is really key to me because it acted as support back here and back, we're here now currently, and was resistance prior. So resistance here. Once it tested and broke through, it went to all-time highs. So what I'm looking for is that this 36 holds. That'll keep me in my position, because if it breaks below this 100-day at 34, we're going to come down pretty far. We got a ready and fire daily. We have earnings coming up next month. Point of control is up at 53. That's usually like a magnet where the most volume is on a 30-minute chart. So if we can make our way back up to there and retest that, that would be great. However, you know, we still got to get through this 8 EMA, which failed, and then the 21 EMA. We have a lot to get through, so I don't think this will happen overnight, although this can move pretty quickly. It is a high short interest stock. So if we get a really good rally, the bull and the bears may start covering and push us back all the way up. We shall see. FUBO, similar to BLNK, have a long position here, some shares, high short interest. You know, we had the sell off with the whole market, recovered nicely, recovered and sold off. Today, same thing on the daily or the intraday, sold off just right above the 21. It's fighting. Once it breaks through the 34 EMA over here on the 15-minute, maybe we can see a little bit of run up to high days. But any break of the higher day should send the shorts scurrying, kind of covering. On the daily time frame, still holding the 100 EMA here. You know, we're still closing below the 50-day, consolidating a bit. Earnings next week. Bearish momentum. We got a ready aim signal, so if we get a fire signal, maybe we get some momentum into earnings. Or I'm actually probably going to hold through earnings, mainly because this one is like a Roku type playing and streaming, and basically sports. And you know, I love sports, and a lot of people use FUBO for sports. And there's some talk that might be getting sports betting here as well, so you could bet live during, you know, actual games on your TVs, from what I'm understanding, which would be pretty significant. And we also have high short interest here, which kind of drove that up. So look at in the grand scheme of things, if we can hold, you know, we have a high or low, but you know, we need to break this level. If we could break 57, you know, I'll even say 52, 55, we can, you know, see all-time highs, but we have to get through all this resistance over here with all these EMAs that are now kind of intertwined. Back here, you know, when I was looking to get in for a nice setup, you know, we had everything stacked. We had all the EMAs stacked positive. Now this downturn has kind of taken away that bullish structure, if you would. So, you know, it's not a pretty chart, but I'm counting on some of these other indicators like the ready and fire, which I use on downtrends, just kind of something when things are oversold. You know, we get these kind of signals, you know, might be a good position or time to enter and re-enter. You can see over here, ticks are getting up in the 600 range, and the price is kind of moving up with it. We're getting some momentum here in pre-squeeze, you know, on the intraday. So I'm looking to see if this could pop and into the weekend. Maybe get some run next month or next week. Oversold here on the daily, so let's see if we keep trucking here. Maybe the seller's row done for the week. Then we can move on. VLDR. VLDR had earnings last night. They're actually pretty good. They gave good guidance. Unfortunately, the market's just in you know, bearish momentum right now. Sold off a bit, but they could do work in revenue in the next couple of years. It's high short interest. I'm surprised, you know, it's moving a little slower. It's not above the 21 yet for the intraday 15-minute. But we got a ready signal down here. We're oversold. I have options following in March. If we get some shorts on this one to kind of push it back up into March, I'll be happy about my position. Almost at full loss, so there's no really selling it right now. Let's see how it plays out the next couple months. Maybe we get a rip-roaring rally and we get something like a type move like this. Maybe Apple. So if they're going to use it for LiDAR, we put all-time highs. Whatever it may be, right now it's no point in me closing that position out. Solo. It's just been, you know, a drag with all the other EVs selling off. Kind of finding support around the 100-day like everything else. Ready, fire signal, oversold. Earnings coming up. That's primarily why I went with March options on a lot of these, because they had the earnings series and that, or a little pre-earning running maybe we could catch. So we'll see how that goes, but like every other one, we have well below these moving averages, and we have to break through them to see if we can go any higher. So be on the lookout for that. Some things I'm looking to get into, which I should have got into this open. You know, we touched a 50-day yesterday and a couple days. You know, we've been trading around it. Been acting as good support the last couple of days, but with the overall market weakness, I'm not ready to jump in just yet into new positions. Maybe next week, but they got earnings up too, so I may see how earnings go and then make my decision accordingly. But I do like the structure here, making higher highs, higher lows, riding that 50-day, finding support, ready signal, looking good here. So we'll see if I can get into that next week or after. BLTR, I made some calls yesterday. You know, I said they have some shares coming into the market, and with the overall bear market too, or bearish sentiment, these things are selling off like crazy. So I took a little small short. I should have held it a little longer, could have made a little more. But like I said a few days ago, if you watched my video and charts, I said we're up here. I said, you know, we're probably going to test this little 100-day because it broke close below the 50. Yeah, we tested it. Ultimately shot back up, got denied by 21 behavior. We tested again with the market weakness and some of that additional selling, which help you know, drive that even lower because you had the bearish market and then you had extra shares in the market. In any case, I think that's all of them that I'm in right now, and looking forward to next week. This week was pretty hectic week, and then shut down for a little bit. Hopefully we can close and get a strong close today, and that carries over to next week. Take care. Have a good weekend.